The soft glow of candles flickered in the dimly lit corner of the lavish banquet hall. The air was filled with the scent of vanilla frosting and fresh flowers, yet in that corner, where a small table stood apart from the crowd, there was an undeniable stillness. At the table sat a little girl in a pale blue dress, her long brown hair neatly brushed, a delicate tiara resting on her head. Her hands rested in her lap, and her wide, deep eyes looked down at the cake before her. It was her birthday, a day most children awaited with joy and laughter, but her smile was faint, almost unsure. Her wheelchair, adorned with ribbons, stood as a quiet reminder of the life-altering accident that had taken her ability to walk. The room around her was alive with chatter, music, and the clinking of glasses. Waiters moved swiftly, serving platters of gourmet dishes to clusters of guests who exchanged business talk and polite laughter. Her father, the CEO of a massive corporation, was surrounded by important people, shaking hands, exchanging smiles, and likely discussing matters far removed from the innocence of childhood. She loved her father dearly, but she also knew he was a man of immense responsibilities that often meant she had to share him with the world. This was supposed to be her special day, yet here she was, sitting alone, watching the candles melt slowly onto the frosting. Every few minutes, someone would glance her way and offer a polite nod or a brief, "Happy birthday," before returning to their conversations. The weight of the moment pressed on her small shoulders, and she tried to hold back the lump rising in her throat. Just then, from across the room, a man in a simple button-down shirt and slightly worn jeans entered with a little boy about her age. His son's eyes were bright and curious, scanning the room with a mixture of awe and excitement. The father, though clearly out of place among the expensive suits and glittering gowns, carried himself with quiet confidence. He wasn't here to impress anyone, he was here because his son had been invited by a distant relative who worked for the CEO's company. As they made their way toward the buffet, the little boy tugged at his father's hand and whispered something. The father followed his son's gaze toward the lonely girl at the corner table. For a moment, his brow furrowed, and then his expression softened into something resolute. Without hesitation, he changed direction, walking toward her table. The girl noticed them approach and instinctively straightened in her chair, unsure of what to expect. The father stopped a few steps away, crouched down so his eyes were level with hers, and smiled warmly. "Hi," he said gently. "I couldn't help but notice your cake looks way too big for just one person. Mind if we join you?" Her eyes widened in surprise. No one, not even the children running around the hall, had asked to sit with her. She looked toward her father across the room, but he was too busy with his guests to notice. Slowly, she nodded. I'd like that." The man pulled out a chair for his son, who sat down eagerly, and then he took a seat himself. "I'm Tom, and this is my son, Jacob," he introduced. "What's your name?" "Lila," she replied, a small smile beginning to tug at her lips. "Happy birthday, Lila," Jacob said brightly. "Wow, is that chocolate fudge cake?" "Yes," she said softly. "It's my favorite." "Well, then," Tom said with a grin, "I think we should help you make sure not a single crumb goes to waste." They laughed together, and for the first time that evening, Lila's laughter rang through the air like music. They lit the candles again, just for fun, and sang her the birthday song. Jacob leaned over and made a wish with her before they blew out the candles together, the twin puffs of air mingling above the cake. Tom noticed how carefully Lila maneuvered her fork and plate, and he subtly adjusted the table's position so she could reach more easily. They spoke about school, favorite books, and silly jokes. Jacob told her about his dream of becoming an astronaut, and Lila shared her love for painting sunsets. The more they talked, the more she forgot about the loneliness that had weighed on her minutes before. Across the room, the CEO finally noticed his daughter surrounded by laughter and conversation. He excused himself from the group and walked toward them. His steps slowed as he saw the light in her eyes, the way her shoulders were relaxed, and the genuine smile on her face. It had been a long time since he had seen her like this. "Lila," he said warmly, placing a hand on her shoulder. "I see you've made some new friends." "Yes, Daddy," she replied, her voice filled with joy. "This is Tom and Jacob. They're helping me eat my cake." The CEO looked at Tom and nodded. "Thank you for keeping her company." I didn't realize she was sitting alone." Tom stood, meeting his gaze with quiet humility. "She's a remarkable kid. It's our honor to be here with her." There was a pause, a silent understanding passing between the two men. The CEO, a man used to commanding rooms and sealing million-dollar deals, suddenly felt the weight of something far more valuable, time with his daughter. As the evening went on, the four of them stayed together, talking, laughing, and even playing a few silly games Jacob suggested. Lila's cheeks were rosy from all the smiling, and her father found himself joining in, forgetting about the business chatter entirely. When the night came to an end, and the last guests began to leave, Lila hugged Jacob goodbye. "Thank you for being my friend," she whispered. "Anytime," Jacob replied. "Next time, you can come to my birthday." Tom shook the CEO's hand. "She's a special girl. Don't let too many birthdays pass without moments like this." The words lingered in the CEO's mind long after they had gone. He carried his daughter to the car himself that night, listening as she chattered excitedly about her new friends. He realized that in the midst of his empire, the most important place he could be was right here, by her side. In the weeks that followed, the CEO made changes. Business meetings ended earlier, weekends were sacred, and he and Lila painted sunsets together just like she had told Jacob she loved to do. Tom and Jacob visited often, their bond growing into a friendship that felt more like family. And Lila, she never again sat alone on her birthday. Her laughter became a regular sound in the CEO's home, a reminder that sometimes, the most profound changes in life start with something as simple as someone asking, "Can we join you?" It wasn't just a birthday celebration, it was the beginning of a new chapter. One filled with connection, empathy, and the understanding that the heart's greatest wealth lies not in boardrooms or bank accounts, but in the moments we choose to share with others. And all it took was the kindness of a single dad and the courage of a little boy to see the lonely girl in the corner and decide that no one should ever have to blow out their candles alone.